This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, if you'd like to be a guest on a future episode of the PR Podcast, we would love to hear from you. The tagline for the show is how the news gets made. And so we mostly talk with PR professionals and with newsroom decision makers about how your daily newspaper ends up on your front porch, on how what decisions go into what story to cover on the nightly TV newscast or on the all news radio station, or even in a trade journal or an industry magazine or a pop culture magazine. But we also color outside those lines a little bit. We talk to social media experts. We talk to marketing experts. We talk to SEO experts. And we've talked to AI experts as well. It really falls under the big umbrella definition of how do we better communicate with the audiences that we want to speak to. And so if you have a take on that, we want to hear from you. Drop us a line on any of the socials at the PR Podcast, or you can email me directly, jody@jodyfisherpr.com. Give us an idea of what you'd like to talk about on the show. Now, make it obviously as interesting and unique as possible. I guess I can't modify the word unique, but you get what I'm saying. Give it an original take. Don't say, hey, we'd like to talk about how to write a press release. We all know how to write press releases. We don't need any more advice on that. But maybe you want to talk about, how AI can help you write your press release better or something like that. That's a little baseline too, but you get my drift here, right? Drop us a line either on the socials at the PR Podcast, and we'd love to have you follow us there as well, or directly to me via email, jody@jodyfisherpr.com. We will get you on an upcoming episode of the PR Podcast. All right, now let's get on with our show for this week. No guest this week. We thought we'd tack in a different direction and go back to the Reddit PR subreddit. We love doing this. I love doing this. And to do a little bit of Q&A. And so what I do is I go through that Reddit public relations subreddit. I think that's how you call it. I don't really use Reddit all that much. But I just, scroll down the list and grab items that look like they have an interesting headline. I don't read the post too much because what I do is, as we're recording here, I click through to the post, I read it to you, and then I give you my gut reaction. Now, sometimes I'm a little off, but I give it, my first read reaction, and I let you know what I think. And then I want to hear from you, especially on social media in the comments. Let us know what you think of what I read and your take on the particular item. So let's jump through now to the Reddit public relations subreddit. And question number one. All right, this comes from Ambassador of Copter. I hope I'm reading that right. It looks like there's a couple extra letters in there. Headline, Founder Startup Small Business PR Needs. Looking to get a sense of what kind of PR support various founders and small business owners might benefit most from or are looking for. I know it's all, boy, that is some sentence. I know it's all budget dependent, but would like to get any opinions, views, anecdotes on what might be useful. Is it coaching to upskill themselves? A package that enables them to have ready-made assets they can fully own for outreach? Is it an ongoing retainer if budgets allow? Would like to know what kind of budget individuals might have if they were to have specific PR support in some form or another. All right, so I'm getting the sense that this is somebody trying to sell themselves or maybe trying to figure out how they can better sell themselves. I'll give you my take. Number one, being the best writer in the room is no longer the most important PR skill. Cue the haters, but I don't care. And here's why. Because ChatGPT and AI can help you write a first draft press release in 10 seconds. So what you need to be is someone now who is not necessarily a great writer, like a great wordsmither, but rather someone who understands what information you need to put into a pitch or a press release, or or an opinion piece, any other thing that you write. You need to be a better editor, right? You don't have to be necessarily a great writer, but you have to be a great editor in the world of PR these days. I think the other thing that you really need to do is you still need to be a master of relationships and human skills. AI still can't pitch a newsroom editor. It can't pitch a reporter. It can't go back and forth. I guess it can, but it's still easier for a human being to go back and forth with a reporter or an editor and say, here's the story, here's who we're offering, would you like to do this, and then arrange all the details. So I would still focus on those human skills that AI and computers still don't have. I would also then, if you're really trying to distinguish yourself, trying to niche down as far as possible, really get neck deep into something that you're really good at. Uh, I have folks that I know who are fantastic crisis communicators, and they have practices entirely built around crisis. Other friends I know are great media trainers. They have businesses that they've built just around media training. That's great. Media trainers are a phenomenal business because I think CEOs and leaders, and there are new ones popping up all the time, they always need to be taught how to effectively speak with media and effectively speak with any audience that they're trying to reach for that matter. So media training is another great niche area, I think, to get into. Budgets, budgets are going to be what budgets are going to be. And I think you should treat budgets not based on what other people are doing, but what makes sense for you. Charge what makes sense for you. Charge people what you're worth. And, try to be as competitive as possible. But, base it on, what do you need to make the rent? What do you need to live your life? And I think that's the best way to answer that budget question. Anyway, long-winded answer to that question, but Ambassador of Copter, hope you're doing well and hope you got the answers that you need. All right, here's question number 2 from Reddit, posted by Purple Like the Sky. I like that one. How to tell agency going to a competitor. They write, I've been at my agency for 3.5 years and would like to think I have a good relationship with my manager and all the senior leadership team here. Unfortunately, due to a series of BS events like layoffs, poor leadership decisions, bad clients, and burnout, I need to leave. And I'm going to accept a better offer at an agency that, although not in the same city, operates in the same vertical. And I have heard typical practices to walk out the same day if this is the situation. My non-compete only covers poaching clients being poached and not stealing company info. How do I tell my boss when I put in my notice? They're super understaffed, as we have been a year plus. And I'd like to give my 2 weeks, but also have zero patience to deal with attitude about where I'm going. It's business, and I have done a lot for them with very little resources. Do I not just tell my boss where I'm going, keep it vague, or be honest and upfront? Don't want to burn bridges and don't want to know how they'll react. I can only answer this from my own perspective. So a few thoughts. 1, 2 weeks, just because 2 weeks is the standard doesn't mean it's what you should do. And everybody's situation is different. You don't have to give 2 weeks notice. There's no law that says you have to give 2 weeks notice. And if you want to quit on the spot, you can. I have once in my life done that. Because the place that I was working at was so awful. And the next 2 weeks was just going to be brutal. And I said, there's no point in putting myself through this. I'm just leaving today. And I did that. Number 2, the other thing that jumps out at me here is that you have a non-compete. I'm not even going to pretend to understand the legal language that's in your non-compete, but you need to adhere to what is in your non-compete. Call a lawyer, get advice on the non-compete, and you must adhere to those things. 3, it sounds like you might have a little bit of leverage here based on understaffing. What you say is understaffing and maybe some other problems that are going on at your current agency. You might be able to whittle down that non-compete, or you might be able to get some other things for yourself. You might be able to get, I don't know if they're going to give you severance or anything, But you might be able to extract some value, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, out of the situation for yourself if you play your cards right. Again, go to a lawyer or go to somebody who's been in a similar situation. Find out from them what they've done. But overall, I would say be polite, be professional, but do not do what they tell you to. They can't tell you to do anything. They can't force you to do anything. If you want to walk in, mic drop, and walk out, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. Just remember that there's a non-compete in place. There are legal clauses in that non-compete that they may activate, and so don't back yourself into a corner. Talk to a lawyer and talk to friends who've been there before. Good luck. All right, question number 3 on the Reddit public relations subreddit from Master Tarot 3970 writes, looking to hire an independent publicist or boutique firm. Now, this one I was interested in based off the headline, so I'm going to read this cold for you now. Hi, all. I'm an internationally recognized documentary photographer, keynote speaker, writer, and educator with 25 years of experience. I have a new book, Unsupervised, published by Daylight Books, that's ready to release. I'm sorry, I jumped off here because I was looking at the, it says 14 hours ago. So this is now. Okay. All right. So there's a new book coming out called Unsupervised. Ready to release. It uses honest, sometimes hilarious photojournalism to reveal the truth about modern parenthood. Oh, that could be fun. Reading here, it celebrates the mess we all navigate as parents. Yes. Now I'm interested. See, there's a reflective advice, quotes, interactive elements, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I'm looking for an independent publicist, preferably not an agency or book launch firm, with a strong track record, long-term industry experience, and great relationships across multiple media verticals. This is not about driving book sales. It's a message-first brand-building campaign that'll use the book as a launching pad, but I do not want Unsupervised to become the go-to gift for expecting parents. Why? Why wouldn't you? Okay, whatever. I need someone who can execute a hybrid PR strategy, including traditional print, digital publication, think Wall Street Journal, New York Times, parenting, etc. The Guardian already did a nice write-up, and I've been featured in all sorts of publications, including Huffington Post, Washington Post, Nat Geo. And he provides some links here. I'll trust him. Looking for someone who's independent, has longevity in the field, values creative vision, media relationships, brand building, comfortable with both traditional media and creator economy platforms. Budget is competitive and flexible depending on your experience and scope, open to retainer, phased packages. I'm struggling to find the right person, so if anyone has recommendations to professionals, I'm all ears. I'm just going to give you my gut reaction. You sound like a pain in the ass. Number one, you got a new book launching, okay? But you don't want to get a PR person who's experienced in book launches. Why? Why? Okay, fine. It's not about driving book sales. That's fine. Great. So then, but you still want someone who knows how to publicize a book. And book publicity is a very specific world. I touched it just a little bit at an agency that I worked at. And I will tell you, it is challenging. And the author I was working with was a household name, and it should have been super easy to get her places, and it was still challenging. Book publicity is a very closed world, right? And you sound like you want all of these things. You've been written up in other places, and you want top tier publicity. Boy, man, why would you not want a book publicist here? I don't get it. Sure, you can get people to put you, in other places as well. But man, a book publicist is just going to do so much better for you than just trying to find a generalist kind of a PR person, which is what you're describing here. And on top of that, a generalist who's competitive, who has top tier contacts. Boy, man, you're looking for a needle in a haystack. I mean, we all like to think we have top tier contacts, but it just sounds like you are really gonna put somebody through a ringer here with everything you want. I wish you a lot of luck. Boy, I would just go with a traditional a book publicist. All right, question number 4 from Flyover 5106 writes, "What am I doing wrong?" Again, another headline that jumped off from me, but I'm going to read this cold. For context, I know the job market is horrible. I'm in Denver, Colorado. In May 2024, I graduated with 2 degrees. Oh, this is going to be a job thing. Okay. In May 2024, I graduated with 2 degrees, one in PR, one in political science. Congratulations. I had one internship on a presidential campaign, thinking that it would be huge for my resume and career because it was a presidential campaign. It should be. I'm currently in July 2025, so a year later, I'm working at a fast food job, applying and rewriting cover letters. I picked up a couple freelance clients, good for you because I love PR so much, but it was more so one-off projects. Okay, I feel like I'm losing my mind with applying. Yes, I get it. I understand. Feeling like I'm not good enough for anything. Don't get discouraged. Please don't get discouraged. My mother is bothering me every day to move out. Shame on you, mom. But my fast food job doesn't pay enough, and she can't seem to understand why I can't find a job with my resume. Um, Again, shame on you, mom. I just want to do better for myself. I don't know where to go. Okay, he's very discouraged here, really looking for advice. All right. Um, well, it sounds like mom is toxic, for starters. So mom needs to cool it. Mom needs to be a little more understanding. The job market is incredibly hard. And look, you're not some slug. It doesn't sound like you're some slug who sits on the couch all day. You got 2 degrees. You worked on a presidential campaign. You're busting your butt at a fast food job. Who really wants to work fast food? I'm not knocking fast food workers here, but who really wants to work fast food, right? That is a job of desperation, I would think. At least for someone who's got two degrees and worked on a presidential campaign, you're just trying to pay bills, right? You may be able to find a higher paying temporary job there, but anyway, we'll move past that. Number one, mom needs to cool it. If mom can't cool it, you need to move out, move in with a friend, go somewhere else, get away from her toxicity because she's not helping you. Two, don't get discouraged. I'm sure you're talking to everybody you know, but keep pushing. Try to find more people you know. I would say don't just apply to traditional PR jobs. If you're not, it doesn't say you're not doing this, so I'm going to go out on a limb. Try to apply for jobs that are adjacent to PR. Now, I just got done saying, the writing wasn't the most important skill anymore, but people still need writers. People still need communicators. People still need people who can help them message to the audiences that they want to do. So get creative with your PR and your communication skills and market yourself that way. If you don't have a website, get yourself a website. If you don't have your own business, I guess don't think of yourself as a potential employee. Run yourself a business, right? Start yourself an S corp or an LLC or something like that. Get an official EIN number and run a business. Don't just apply like a person, like an individual for a job. Approach it a little differently that way. And then set up your business social media, set up QuickBooks, invoice people that way rather than having them pay you as a 1099. Get a little official about it. Put that little veneer of, hey, I'm a business on what you're doing. And I think people might change their attitude about hiring you. And they might even want to pay you more than they would someone who's, living with mom in Denver, Colorado. Just a thought. But also look into jobs, I think, that are adjacent to public relations, that use those communication skills that you have. It also sounds like you got a great network. Go back to the people you worked with on the presidential campaign, see what they got cooking. But more than anything, get away from the toxicity and don't give up. Good luck. All right. And the number 5 question, last question we're going to answer here on the PR podcast this week comes from Necessary MG. And it's titled, "What is the most unhinged task you were asked to do as a PR pro?" Now, I picked this one just because of the headline again. I really want to read these even more than I want to answer them. And I'm going to see as I'm going along here, do I have an unhinged task? I'm sure that I do somewhere. But let's read through these. They write, "No, I'm not talking about get me on the cover of Forbes," said by the small business owner with absolutely no clue. "I want to hear the stuff that reminds me why this job is anything but boring. All right, so let's go down here. Oh man, there's only one response. Oh no, here they are. Sorry, I had to scroll further. All right, well, let's read these. Ready? JJ Guild 27 writes, one of my former colleagues had to dress up as a piece of beef at an event for the meat marketing board. Good stuff. Shiv's baby writes, I dressed up in a teddy bear costume for a kid-focused event that we did for our client. This was like 30 years ago, my old manager, and I still joke about it every few years. Bonus, it was pretty hot that day, and I was cooking inside the costume. Uh, Asleep Journalist 94 writes, when I repped a home goods client at a mega agency, we had a press event where no media showed up. My boss panicked and made me call our video production guy, Jeff, back at the office to tell him to grab a reporter's notebook and rush to the event to pose as press. That is highly unethical, and I hope you didn't get caught. Jeff and I ended up talking him out of it, but it became a joke for years afterwards because Jeff had a sarcastic sense of humor and quipped, "Well, that publication I'm supposed to be with dust ruffles today." At my very first agency job, I found myself sharing a hot tub with my female client and a Washington Post reporter, and she was crushing on after a press event. I don't know, that kind of spiraled. I expected that to be better than it was. By the way, I know of an agency in New York that used to send their own employees to pose as reporters at red carpet events and take photos just to make the client feel better. Yes, they got found out. Let's see. Well, some of these get a little racy, but you know, we're racy friendly here on the PR podcast. All right, B Circle 907. I'll censor this if I need to. Says I had to wake up a naked, angry, hungover Scottish journalist and the companion he'd found after a night of heavy drinking to get the coach to the next venue for a day two of a 3-day press tour. The language he used in the moment was impressive, as it was vulgar, and I'm not easily shocked, but he apologized later once he had a coffee. Maybe shocking. I don't know if it's unhinged. I'm really looking for some crazy stuff here, right? I'm expecting to hear some really good stuff. All right, I'll get a couple more here. Nothing remotely. This is, hold on, who is this? This is Sass Story. Says, made me realize my work has been boring indeed. Nothing remotely close to this, only clients and partners with unrealistic expectations. Like, yeah, see, that's boring stuff. Asking to be on the cover of the front page of the New York Times when you don't belong on the New York Times. No. Frayed Knots writes, used to log into Wikipedia once a day to edit out some unsavory details from one of someone's relatives page. By the end of the day, another mod would then edit them back in and the cycle would continue. That's not unhinged. Let's see. Impressive Swan writes, I worked at a college doing PR and social media. I've been there 5 years. Have been 15 years of overall experience. Just received my master's degree, was accepted in the school's leadership program, blah, 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 blah. I felt like I was on a good path. We got a new VP right before I was supposed to go on a big international trip. They said, I have a project for you. There'll be an excellent use of your experience and skills, and I think you'll be really pleased about it. Hold on. Very verbose. I returned and went to the meeting, so excited to hear about the project with a great mix of my skills and experience. He looked at me and he said, I was so excited to ask you about this. I think it'd be really fun if we dressed up the statue of the mascot for the holidays and it was a secret and no one knew who did it. And think you should do this. You live near the school, so you could come up in the middle of the night and dress them. There's no budget, but you have kids, so maybe you have some things in your house. That's not unhinged. That's just stupid. All right, let's try one more here. We got to go out on a high note. Specific Truth 4338 writes, I used to have to pretend I wasn't weirded out by the British accent my American-speaking client used on the red carpet. She even laughed in British. Every once in a while, I will search the internet to see if the secret has gotten out, but not yet. Another thing I'd have to do with some of the reporters is interview my nobody clients with the cameras off on red carpets. If they knew I would bring them a bigger client, another event. Again, maybe work on the writing. Well, in any case, I had higher hopes there. I really did. Sorry if that was a little bit of a letdown. The most unhinged thing I had to do as a PR pro. I'm not sure that I've ever done anything that's really unhinged, but here's the thing. I will admit, and fellow PR folks back me up on this. We do so many bizarre things, so many wild things, that our bar for unhinged is pretty high. It's got to be really weird for us to classify something as unhinged. And I'm sure some of the stuff that we've done over the course of our careers people would probably think is pretty crazy, and we think is pretty normal. All right. Well, in any case, there's our review of 5 questions from the Reddit public relations subreddit here on the PR podcast in our Q&A session this week. All right, that's our show for this week. Thanks again for everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.